Well, all right, let's dig right into zeroing a red dot on a pistol. The discussion is not about what sight or what gun to get, but this happens to be a SIG P365 sexed up from Bore Sight Solutions. Just a stock little SIG sight, their red dot that I threw on here yesterday. Note about dots though. Install them as per manufacturer recommendations. Make sure you've got correct torque specs, thread locker as per recommended. Make sure you've got the correct mounting plates, screws, all that. I see things fall off every class because of improper mounting. So let's talk about zero distance. 7 yards, 5 yards, 10 yards, 15 yards, blah, blah, blah. What do you want to do with the gun? When we think about zeroing a rifle, a carbine, a pistol, a shotgun, when we think about putting a zero on that gun, we've got to define one thing. What is our point blank? What's our maximum point blank that we want to work with? When you think of point blank, we often think of this, don't we? The muzzle right into the target. When in fact, what point blank means is a defined target size. We'll say 8 inches. I drew here about an 8-inch circle, and I drew a 4-inch circle inside of it. I made some little dots there just so we can kind of see it. Imagine that we chose 8 inches as our maximum point blank. That would tell us that we need to create a zero where me pointing into this 8-inch circle, I, as the marksman, would not need to deviate my muzzle angle up or down to keep the rounds inside of that. So point blank is 2 factors: size of target, distance to target. It actually becomes many factors because now what we're talking about is the trajectory of the projectile on its way out to the target. With a pistol, we're talking about pretty close distances, so I don't want to get wrapped around the axle on it. With a pistol though, I like a smaller point blank, something like 4 inches. Why? Because that's more analogous to the face of a could be bad guy. Not just my opinion, it's a lot of people's, but choose your point blank. Think about what you want in relationship to the pistol, where you will not have to hold on a target and then say, oh, I better hold up or I better hold low. That requires you to understand where the gun hits. So I'm going to use a 10-yard zero, and that should keep most of my rounds in this 4-inch target 25 yards and in. I'm going to have to start to adjust hold a little bit. Now, that's theoretical. What I'm going to want to do is set a piece of cardboard up like this. I'm going to fall back to 10 yards in just a moment, and I'm going to take a couple shots at the paster there. I'm going to make adjustments if my windage or my elevation's off, and I'm going to get my good 10-yard zero. Then I'm going to step forward to 5, and I'll step back to 15 and 20, and we'll see where these rounds go. Does that make sense? Let's check it out. Move some targets around here. All right, fell back here to 10 yards. We got our cardboard set up. Let's go through a good loading process. Retrieve a mag, lock the slide to the rear, good master grip, cant the mag well inboard, seat lock, tug, forcefully action the slide. If I wanted to press check, I could tap that gun into battery. One thing we want to do before we load, make sure we've turned the red dot on, make sure you've adjusted it to a good brightness, but to me, I want it as dim as I can get it where I still can see it clearly and I'm not hunting for it, but to where it's not huge washing out my target. So I'm going to be firing this real controlled if you wanted to, and it's a good idea. Get a rest if you have one. Bench the gun on some sandbags, and that's going to help you. All right, those 3 shots are low and left. So I'm going to clear my gun out. I've got to grab my little Allen key. And I'm going to make the adjustments. So I'll show you, I'll zoom in on that target real quick. And that's not an impressive group at all. I'm kind of shooting quick to get close, and I'll tighten it up. You see those shots to the low and left, right here underneath my finger. Zoom back out. We'll get our adjustments made. So I'm going to come right and up. helps you to know what you got on the gun, know what the adjustments are rather, by looking at your manual. So I'm not going to comment on what to adjust because every one of these sights works differently. I come right. All right. Moved it a little bit. What I think is maybe enough. We'll load up. Try it again. I'm going to adjust my ears here a little bit. I got to adjust you guys too. Something like so. Man, spring is happening and these mosquitoes are alive. Seat lock tug, cycle, press check if you choose, tap that gun into battery, admin load. All right, let's try this again. I'm going to get steadier now. All right, so elevation's pretty good. I got to come over on my windage a little bit more. Give you a little zoomage there. And I'm not working here. If I had this gun bagged, it's been raining. I don't want to be in the mud, proned out. You see my shots now higher, just to the left of the target. I'm going to work on getting steadier here. Being in a rush is never a good thing when zeroing. You know what I mean? So we'll make our adjustments. Nobody is on the range with me today either. So let's be calm about where the muzzle's pointed. Go back to the load, seat lock tug, cycle, and let's square up on the target here. Get super steady. Send one more. All right, so I've got two touching the paster, one high, one low, one left, all just grazing the edge of the paster. So that movement is me. I'm going to send one more. All right, nice paster shot there. I'll zoom you in. So I think we're pretty close to our zero. How would I make this better? I would deck the gun. Actually, I'll just walk you down range. I would deck the gun on a bag or a bench. So here was my first couple of shots, second couple of shots, and then we made our last adjustment. And I think looking at this, I'm going to come left just a couple of little scooches. I'm going to scooch her to the left just a little bit, just a scooch, because as we move back, this isn't going to get better, right? It's going to get farther apart. All right, I'm going to throw up a new target here, right about there. That's going to be my point of aim for the whole exercise. And I'm going to start at about 5 yards, and I'm going to slowly move myself back. And we're going to just and I'm going to hold on that target no matter what. I'm going to hold on that target no matter what, and we're going to see where the rounds go so that I, as the shooter, have a good understanding of my point of aim, point of impact while I'm training. That probably makes good sense, right? So I'm going to start out up close here. I'm at about 5 yards. Top the gun off. Trying to be relaxed. I'm not hurried. Again, to make this better, get steady. I'm accepting what I see down there. Get steady, get sandbags, use a shooting bench if you need to. Oh, that was a throwaway. So at this distance, grouping a little low, a little low. Why would you think that would be? A little low would be probably because my height over bore, right? Now check this out. My last video, I talked about parts breaking. I'm going to clear this gun out. I talked about parts breaking on guns. And I had a comment on there. The guy actually said, this guy's a liar. I talked about a sight that fell off. Now, in retrospect, I did actually tell a mistruth. I said a rear sight fell off. When I went back and looked at the video and heard myself say that, it was the front sight that fell off of the gun. Anyway, the commenter said this guy saying this is bullshit. He's making this up so that there's like a teaching point. No, shit breaks all the time. Check this out. Look at my front sight on this SIG. Can you see this? This right now is about to fall off. Did you see that? I was able to push the green ring back in. Stuff breaks, guys. Okay, let's fall back. We know where we're at 10. Let's fall back to 15. I think it's valuable to show you that because I responded to that commenter. One, I think it's really insulting to call me a liar when you don't know me. I have no reason to make anything up like that. We're at 15 now. Let's get going. Not too shabby. We've got about a 2.5-inch group. Shooting this little gun, I've got a lot of time behind these guns, these little SIGs. This grip that Ben made is more for small hands, and I don't have the biggest hands in the world, but I don't have small hands. I wear an XL glove. You guys know what that means, right? Anyway, I'm having a hard time gripping onto this thing. This little finger hook here, my hand hangs over it, but it's a beautiful grip, but not for my big man hand. So now we're at about 21 yards here. All right, I'm definitely not shooting as steady as I could be on a bench. I see some marksmanship errors, which is on me. I'm pushing a little left, over gripping this gun. But what I want you to see, more important than anything, here's some of my left pushing shots there. I got to clean that up. But here is the important thing. From, let's throw these away, not because they don't count. These I'm going to call marksmanship errors, but we can see elevation-wise, from 5 yards out to a little over 20, I've got a vertical string of only about 1.5 inches, 2 inches. Do you see that? This is what I'm talking about. Screw these guys, forget those ever happened, and look at this right here. This is marksmanship. This is me over gripping that little gun. It's right here is that I'm concerned with. So I'll work a little bit moving back on this swinger plate. So we'll just see, that's a 5-inch plate. We'll just see if the gun can keep them in there moving around. If I can keep them in there, more importantly, got to work on the marksmanship. And I don't want you guys, I don't want to film crap and be like, look, I'm perfect all the time. Haven't shot this little gun in a while. Shit don't always go as planned, but you're getting it here uncut. So head swinger. That works. That works. All right. You see, we're at about 10 yards there. We're able to get some good hits. The last video too, I had a guy like, why don't you shoot both pieces of steel? That's not why I'm out here. I'm not out here to shoot both pieces of steel. I'm not out here to do a little dog and pony show for you. We're out here talking about a specific thing. I'm validating whether or not the specific thing I'm working on is doing what I want it to do. So now we're back a little bit farther here. Got the little target on the right. That's called a mini ADAP from TA Targets. Was that better? Did I shoot a couple more targets for you? Those misses that you saw when I was shooting at the head box, those were misses, straight up misses. And why I was able to hit it a second later, my grip fell apart on the gun. I was being lazy on my grip. Almost always, I'm looking for my other mag, almost always in class, once we've got a good baseline of shooting skills and guys are exhibiting like a pretty good understanding of marksmanship, when they start missing, normally the grip's falling apart. The grip is really the heart of everything we're doing. So a couple takeaways for zeroing. Choose your point blank. Choose where you want to be able to get hits from without deviating point of aim. Decide how big that target is. 4-inch, 10-inch, whatever it might be. If you're trying to shoot the broadside of a barn, that's going to be a bigger point blank, right? I would encourage you to do some reading on point blank if it doesn't make sense to you. Get steady when you zero. Make sure the gun is mounted, or I'm sorry, the optic is mounted correctly, surely, tightly, all the things it's supposed to be. Make sure that you take your time. Don't be in a rush. Relax when you're zeroing. I'm trying to go relatively quickly, not for any reason other than I don't want to make this take too awful long as we're going through the process here. I'll shoot a little bit more. We'll fall back to 20. If you got questions on what we're doing, please throw it in the comments. This next week, actually I'm leaving tomorrow. Got class in Las Vegas, leaving today. Man, I'm losing track of time. We're going to do a 3-day rifle pistol class in Vegas, and in that, we'll be doing and filming a whole block of instruction on, come right here, on the zeroing of the rifle. Step into this muck here. I'm at about 19 yards here. I'm trying to get halfway decent camera angles for y'all. Target on the right. These misses are embarrassing, but it is what it is. A little head swinger. Come on, Mick. Why I'm not choosing to edit or show you, why I'm choosing to show you the misses, as I started to describe, we all miss, but more importantly, what I'm trying to do is confirm the zero. A big problem when people zero is a failure to exhibit good marksmanship skills, and in that, it's really hard. You're chasing adjustments on your scope or your dot or your sights, and is it me? Is it the dot? Is it the ammo? Is it the wind? What is it? We've got to be able to exhibit good marksmanship. Not an excuse. I'm coming off of this injury with my right arm from last year. I lost my tricep. I lost my pec from a injury in my C-spine from jiu-jitsu. And I'm still having to redevelop a proper grip. It's coming back. I feel really good, but not an excuse in that I have to exhibit the fundamentals of marksmanship. Otherwise, you're going to miss. That little 5-inch target here at almost 20 yards is pretty easy to hit if you do your job. I'll zoom you in on that. You can see what I'm talking about. I know you can hear it, but I don't think you can see it. And there we go. Sorry for the movement. I'll be off frame, but we'll see if we can hit that sucker. And you see some hits here. It's not hard to do if we do our job. If we do our job. Again, recap. Pick your point blank, target size, target distance. That's what you need to know. How big of a target do you want to be able to hit, and at what distance without deviating elevation? I now know that I can go from basically contact distance. I'm not going to shoot the steel at contact distance. I can basically go from contact distance out to at least 20 yards with this gun. I can't walk back into the muddy woods today, but I will be testing it on the range. I know that when I'm on the range in the next couple of days, this gun's going to do what we need it to do. That's important. So I've got good elevation, good windage adjustments. Get steady. Make sure the optic's mounted correctly. Take your time, exhibit good fundamental marksmanship skills, and don't get frustrated. Relax and work through the process. 10 yards is my desired distance with this gun, 10 to 15. Play with it, move around and test it. Be well, don't be dickheads. I appreciate you guys viewing today. It's always interesting when we have banter back and forth in the comment sections. Check this out. We don't have to agree on everything. It's not healthy for us to live in a vacuum chamber. If everybody around us is just like, yep, I agree, yep, I agree, how do we grow, right? I am not right all the time. I'll be the first to admit that, and I'm sure plenty of my family and friends would say, yep, he's not right all the time. None of us are, right? It is good to challenge ideas. What is not good is to be rude, to be crass, to be angry, to be bitter, to be resentful and mean for no good reason. Somebody the other day said to me, this is a friend of mine, his name's John, and I shared this on Facebook. John said he was talking about, John's a wonderful artist. He's a pianist, he's a musician, a guy I've known for years, lovely human. His parents were lovely people. I got to do some work for him years ago. John was talking about the meanness that he sees in the world, and it hurts him. And I agree. I understand what he's saying. And he said, you know, when people are vile and mean and they spew hate around them, it's like secondhand cigarette smoke. Even if it's not you smoking, everybody that hears it, that absorbs it, is being affected by it. Let's think about that. Be well. Don't be dickheads. Love to see you guys at class. Try Ignis Lux Coffee, Gunfighter Gun Oil, TA targets, hat point targets, Super Val ammunition, bore sight solutions. What else can I do? Hell, I'm coming back now. Let me just lay it all down. I'm just kidding. Talk to you guys soon. Love you. Ready, Drew? Just one more time, because it's fun and I can, and it's our show and we want to, right?